The life of an Amish person is quite simple. They don't use electricity or have much technology, but they are generally happy. Well, most of them are. Every once in a while, an Amish teen will decide that he or she has had enough and wants to leave the community. But the question is, what happens when this takes place? Do they just pack up their things and go? How does the community react? Are they ever allowed to come back? We're going to answer all of these questions today, so stay tuned for more information. There are some cases where an Amish teen simply leaves the community without telling anyone where they're going. In fact, many of these teens disappear and are never seen again. But before we get into those cases, let's first look at what usually happens when an Amish person decides to leave their community. Usually, when an Amish teen decides to leave the community, they'll tell their family and close friends first, and then they'll leave the community. As strange as it sounds, there's usually no hard feelings between the ex-Amish and their families and friends. The Amish are a very peaceful community and generally believe in turning the other cheek. It's not uncommon for an ex-Amish person to stay in touch with their family and friends after leaving the community. Sometimes an Amish person will even leave the community, travel the world, and then return to their community years later. If the ex-Amish person is willing to give up their worldly possessions and conform to the rules of the community, they're usually welcomed back with open arms. While it's true that many Amish people will leave the community and then return later on, this isn't always the case. And there are some people who leave the Amish community and are never heard from again. But why do so many Amish people choose to leave their communities? Let's take a look at a few of the main reasons. Perhaps the biggest reason why Amish people leave their communities is because they want to experience the outside world. Many Amish people live very secluded lives and rarely, if ever, venture into the outside world. For many Amish people, the outside world is full of temptation and sin. However, there are some Amish people who are curious about the outside world and want to see what it has to offer. This is especially true for younger Amish people who are more open to new experiences. Eventually, their curiosity gets the better of them, and they end up leaving their communities to see the world. Some of these Amish people return home after seeing what the world has to offer, while others remain in the outside world. Another reason why Amish people leave their communities is because they want to be with someone who doesn't share their beliefs. Most Amish people are very devout and take their religion very seriously. However, there are some Amish people who eventually lose faith in their religion. These people may still want to be with their family and friends, but they can't continue living in the community because they no longer believe in the same things as the other members. In addition, some Amish people fall in love with someone who isn't Amish. This can be a difficult situation for the couple, but ultimately, they may decide to leave the community in order to be together. There was one case in 2017 where an 18-year-old Amish woman left her community to be with her non-Amish boyfriend. Her name was Rebecca Schmucker, and her family wasn't too happy about her decision. Her father said that she had been hanging out with this boy for over a year. The two of them decided to leave the community together. Even though Rebecca and her boyfriend knew that their relationship would cause problems within the community, they didn't care. Now, some of you might think that leaving your community behind for love is no big deal, but for the Amish, this is a major event. Their way of life is centered around their religion, so if you leave the church, you're leaving everything behind. While Rebecca's family was upset that she left the community, they were relieved when she returned 6 months later. She said that she missed her family and friends and realized that her boyfriend wasn't the right guy. A third reason why Amish people leave their communities is because they want to pursue higher education. The Amish believe that education is important, but they also believe that it shouldn't be pursued beyond the 8th grade. This is because they believe that worldly knowledge can lead to temptation and sin. Therefore, most Amish people stop their education after the 8th grade and begin working in their communities. However, there are some Amish people who want to continue their education and go to college. For these people, leaving their community is the only option. Once they graduate from college, some of these people return to their communities, while others decide to make the outside world their permanent home. In 2014, an 18-year-old Amish man named Daniel Allgear left his community to attend college. His family wasn't too happy about his decision, but they knew that it was his choice to make. Daniel eventually graduated from college and now works as a carpenter. He says that he misses his family and friends, but he's happy that he decided to pursue his dreams. And finally, let's look at a fourth reason why Amish people leave their communities. Some Amish people simply can't handle living such a secluded life. They need to be a part of the outside world and feel like the community is holding them back. Eventually, these people reach a breaking point and decide to leave their communities. Some of these people are never heard from again, while others return to their communities after experiencing the outside world. An example of an Amish person who couldn't handle the lifestyle anymore was a man named John. John was born into an Amish community in Wisconsin and lived a very secluded life. He wasn't allowed to drive a car, use electricity, or even watch TV. John eventually reached a breaking point and decided to leave the community. He said that he was tired of being lied to and that he wanted to experience the outside world. Now, John's story isn't unique. There are many Amish people who have left their communities for similar reasons. For these people, the Amish lifestyle isn't sustainable and they eventually break free. Now, we've talked about a few reasons why Amish people leave their communities. But what actually happens when this takes place? Usually, an Amish person will leave their community without telling anyone where they're going. This is because they're afraid of being tracked down by their community and brought back. Oftentimes, the Amish community will try to convince the person to return to the community and live the simple life. However, there are some cases where the Amish person is never seen again. One example of an Amish person who disappeared was a man named Joseph. Joseph was born into an Amish community in Ohio and lived a very secluded life. He wasn't allowed to drive a car, use electricity, or even watch TV. Joseph eventually reached a breaking point and decided to leave the community. He didn't tell anyone where he was going, and it's believed that he was trying to start a new life. To this day, no one knows what happened to him. Now, we'd like to ask you a question. Why do you think Amish people leave their communities? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss another video from our channel. Thanks for watching.